At its core, seed starting is not difficult. You grab some soil, you grab some containers, you throw some seed in, voila, you have seedlings. But there are a few things that can be detrimental towards your success in getting seeds started. Without further ado, here's what not to do for successful seed starting. The first thing not to do when starting seed is grab a bucket of old seed out of your garage. When did I plant this? 06? Ugh, has a mouse been chewing on this? And assume that the seed is gonna germinate and grow. Now there's nothing wrong with using old seed. There are plenty of vegetables that will hold their germination for years and years and years. But things like fluctuating temperature and humidity and mouse urine can greatly affect the germination rates of seed. Just do a simple at-home germination test on your old seed before you devote a lot of time and space to starting it. The next thing to avoid when starting seeds is starting your seeds in a plastic container with no drainage holes on the bottom. No drainage holes equals too much water. Your soil can easily get oversaturated and the water has no place to go. Seedlings can literally drown or succumb to the dreaded damping off, which is prevalent in wet and cool conditions. The same goes for overwatering in general. You want the surface of your seed starting media to feel slightly damp to the touch, not soaking wet. The third thing not to do when starting seeds is start heat-loving plants like tomatoes, eggplants, peppers in a cool room with no supplemental bottom heat. Take it from me. This is a surefire way to make your tomato seedlings hate you. Yes, they will probably eventually germinate, and yes, they will probably even grow, but they're gonna be slow and weak and spindly. Bottom heat, also known as using a heat mat, like something similar to this, I found is not necessary for all crops. I don't use it on my cool season crops, but for the heat lovers, as I mentioned, like eggplants, tomatoes, peppers, melons, squash, those types of things, if you start them inside, you will have much faster germination and much happier seedlings with the addition of bottom heat. Soil temps of about 70 to 75 Fahrenheit are optimal. If you really want to geek out, you can get one of those little soil thermometers and poke in the soil and make sure that your temperatures are spot on. Want weak, leggy seedlings? Not providing them enough light is a surefire way to go. Seedlings will stretch. That is, they'll put on vigorous top growth in search of light and eventually become so weak that they topple over. If caught early, leggy seedlings can often be saved, but you're better off just not stressing them that much when they're that young in the first place. Some folks swear by a sunny windowsill, but I'll stick with my grow lights. My go-to now is a wide spectrum fluorescent tube lighting, which is common in most grow lights. This is mounted on an adjustable stand so that as my seedlings grow, I can keep the lights just a few inches from the tops of the seedlings. Remember that most vegetable seedlings do best with 12 plus hours of light a day, which you're not going to get from a windowsill in February in northern areas. Imagine you're a seedling. You go from the temperature and humidity controlled environment of wherever your human is growing you. You have consistent light and moisture and only the smallest bit of air movement. Suddenly, you're thrust into the real world. You can deal with the changes in light and temperature. But that wind, it's just too much. Your weak little stem has not been conditioned to the rigors of the outdoor world. You just can't take it. You topple over and give up. It's a cruel world. Okay, that may be a little over dramatic, but in all seriousness, you need to give your seedlings some air circulation. This toughens them up a little bit and gets them used to regular gusts of wind and air movement that they'll encounter outside. At the very least, run your hand over the tops of the seedlings a couple times a day. This helps to toughen up the stem. I like to just keep an oscillating fan on my seedlings during the day hours when I'm running the grow lights. This increased air circulation also helps to guard against damping off in seedlings. Consider your seed starting media. You either want something really light and fluffy with excellent drainage, or you can go with something like a pre-dibbled grow plug. Sow your seeds at the proper planting depth. This information can typically be found on the back of seed packets, But a general rule is the smaller the seed, the shallower it's sown. The rule I've been told is twice the depth of the size of the seed. So you can see this is a cabbage seed, it would go in very shallow. The big squash seed would be buried much deeper. Use a humidity dome or cover. Anything that's clear enough to let light through, yet will trap moisture in, is great. Plastic wrap works really well. You want to keep the humidity high during the germination period, and once your seedlings sprout up, you can remove the cover. Don't add fertilizer until your seedlings have their second set of true leaves. And don't use starter mix that has fertilizer already in it for starting your seeds. And a final important tip, make sure that you harden off your seedlings. Hardening off is the process of gradually acclimating seedlings to outdoor temperatures and conditions. This process will ensure that they're tough enough to survive the outdoor conditions of the garden when they're transplanted. So now are you ready to start your own seeds? I hope so. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.